All right, hi everyone. This video is for problem set 1, part 2. So in part 1, we worked on a basic spreadsheet with Excel. This week, we're going to be looking into Google Sheets, which is a web-based, browser-based version of a spreadsheet software provided for free by Google. For this, you're going to need to be logged into Chrome or logged into Google with your NSU email, your NSU Gmail account. You can see here, this is my NSU account. So all the work that I'm going to be doing is going to go and be saved on the cloud to the Google cloud drive, essentially. And what we're going to be working on is a personal balance sheet. This is basically the net worth of an individual. These are not my numbers, but this could be a standard person in America with automobile loan, home loan, student loan, credit card, medical debt, and then all the assets a person has to look at, cash, computer, anything tangible, anything monetary, etc. So we're going to make a balance sheet for this person, and it's going to end up looking like this when we're done. You do have a data file that's going to fill in some of these topics, but then in that data file this time is an image that looks like this. And so some of these figures you're going to be doing data entry on. You're going to be typing in the numbers from that image. I've made it a little bit quicker by giving you some of the categories of dollar amounts, but we're going to start off by just making a standard sheet file. So a couple options for you. You can either go to these little 3x3 dot grid here and then select Drive, and then from there you can create a new sheet, or you can go directly to Sheets, either way. So if I click on Sheets, it'll prompt me to make a new sheet. I'm going to click on Drive instead. And you can see I can click on New, and from New, it gives me the option of what type of file I want to make. If I want to make a Google Docs file, that's Google's version of Word. Sheets is Google's version of Excel. Slides is version of PowerPoint, and you can use any of these for various assignments here at NSU. For the most part, all of these will work just as well as the Microsoft Office version of them, with the exception of when you need to submit the assignment, you've got to save it typically as a Word document or save it as an Excel file afterwards. But we'll go ahead and click on Sheets, and that's going to bring us to here where it's just created a new spreadsheet for us. And we want to go ahead and title this right off the bat as a balance sheet. And then put your name, your first and last name here. You're going to be submitting your problem set number 1 with with one Excel file that has several parts on it, but then also you're going to be submitting links to your Google Sheets file that you made as well. So we're going to show how to share those at the end of this. So this is going to be the balance sheet with our name, and you can see here we want one big a header at the top that says balance sheet with our name on it. And we're going to have this run for 8 cells. We're going to have it run from A1 all the way to H1. You can see the naming conventions are very similar to what you've done in Excel. A lot of the shortcuts are the same. And then you've got all your tabs at the top that have drop downs instead of taking you all the way to a new tab. Everything's done with drop downs on the same screen that you start at. So we'll start off by writing balance sheet. And then again, put your first name, last name, right? Your own first name, last name. And for these assignments, you guys might have preference on nicknames or other names you go by. It's very important for this class that your first name, last name matches what's on Blackboard. When we get to the discussion boards, if you want to introduce yourself as the name you prefer, that's great. But for grading purposes, I need the names to match. So please put your first name and last name as I would see it on Blackboard to make sure I'm matching it up correctly. All right, and we don't want to just say, one cell over here overlap. So we're going to make this, like I said, 8 cells long, and that's going to be important because we're going to have 4 of these columns be for our assets and 4 of these columns for our liabilities. So this gives us a nice even split. And we're going to merge this data like we did on Excel. A few ways we can do that. One of them is this option right here, merge cells. So we're going to go ahead and click on merge cells. And if we drop this down, there's different ways we can merge them. But just clicking on the merge button right here will do that for us. And then unlike Excel, it doesn't merge and automatically center. We want to center this text. So a few ways we can do that. We can align it right here is the easiest way because there's a shortcut for it. There's also, let's see here, format, alignment, center under the format tab. Either one of those will get us there, but we want to center this this here. And then we're going to make the first four columns, as I said, your assets, the next four columns, your liabilities. So let's go ahead and type assets here. And then we're going to merge those four together and then align them centered. And then the next four here are going to be our liabilities. And again, we're going to merge those four together and align them centered. And then within the assets and liabilities, we're going to have monetary assets. So we'll have monetary here, we'll have tangible, anything you can touch, anything physical assets. So, things that are worth a lot of money, your house, your car, valuables, right? We're going to merge monetary, these two cells here. We're going to merge tangible. And then liabilities, we're going to have short-term and long-term liabilities, which if you take in your finance accounting classes, you'll know the difference. But typically, short-term, anything is within a year period, you expect to possibly pay it down. Long-term would be something that's over a year period. You expect to make multiple payments on. So short-term might be credit card debt because you're making, possibly, if you're being super responsible with it, you're paying it off at the end of the month and just building credit. Not the case for myself. I expect not the case for many of you out there, but it still qualifies as a short-term asset. And then your long-term assets are going to be like your mortgage, house payment, car payment, student loans. Unmerge those. All right, great. So now we've got our balance sheet title, our assets and liabilities separated, our monetary, tangible, short-term, long-term. And from here, you can go ahead and copy over the data file. So again, this data file is going to have these headers to kind of shortcut a little bit of the work for you. And then an image here with all of these numbers that you're going to have to type in yourself. But if we highlight all of these figures from cell A1 down to G9, we can copy these and then we can paste them over. Starting in cell A4, if I click paste, it's going to paste them all in the right spot for us. And then from here, we're going to want to adjust the width of our columns so that you're able to see all the lines. Anything where it's overlapping, that's going to be too not wide enough. So we're just going to move that one over where we can read all of it. Same thing here. We can't see that line, which means when I start typing here, it's going to cut off some of that wordage. So move this over a little bit as well. Long term, we move this over a little bit so that all of those are visible. Now that these are visible, we can do a little bit of formatting to this sheet. Pretty dull, pretty pretty basic, but we want to be able to see that our assets and liabilities are different significantly. We're going to go ahead and use a green and then maybe this pink color or a light red. Problem with reds in spreadsheets is that they're very dominant color, and so it makes it hard to read some text behind a really dark red. So the light pink will be good for this, and then we'll use blue as our header. So I'm going to click on this, and then right here you can see fill color. We can go ahead and use just a real light blue. Any of these light blues will be fine here. If you want to choose a different color for this assignment, that's fine. Just make sure that it makes sense. Assets being some sort of light green color makes a lot of sense here. So let's go ahead and do the same thing with this one. That'd be fine there. And then liabilities, we're going to highlight all these cells and make it this light red 3. That should work. So it's light red, but pink or almost salmon color. And then from here, we want to make our values and everything very very readable. So if we highlight everything down to this this header section, we can go ahead and add borders around all of that. And then we want probably here for all of these to not be separated by hard lines. So I'm going to highlight just the savings account down to other, and I'm going to put an outside border on those, so not the inside border. And actually these, yeah. So we'll do an outside border here on those ones, outside border on those ones. With Excel, I like to add, maybe like a dashed or dotted line here to show that it's in the same area, or maybe within here, maybe a dash or dotted line on here, but just separating it to say these are individual values, and then at the bottom we'll total them. So we'll do the same thing here. This one, we want to do outside borders on. Oops, I had them both selected. Outside borders on that. So same thing. It's really all about making the formatting of your document easy to read at a glance to see what's going on. You've got everything very clearly separated by assets and liabilities. Within that, you've got this line showing monetary on one side, tangible on the other. And then these outer borders are telling us that these are individual accounts or individual asset or liability types. And the border around the bottom is telling us that we're totaling it up down here. So now it's going to be some data entry. Again, you've got the figures here. I'm going to go ahead and snap this to the right side of my screen and get a sort of side-by-side view of it so that I can type it in as I'm viewing the dollar amount. So this is 1750, 1250, 1075, 450. We've got 500, 300, 6500, 66,000 here. And then our liabilities, credit card, we managed to have only $300 in credit card debt. We're doing really good if that's the case. 400 in medical debt, well done. Automobile loan, pretty cheap car, 1900 left on it. Mortgage, we're almost paid down, $20,000 in student loans, decent, probably about average there. And then from here, we've got our basic entry done. So we just need to, once we've got those entered in, we want to go ahead and highlight all of these cells. If I hold the control button while I drag, then I can highlight multiple cells at one time. And I want this to be a dollar amount. So we're going to go ahead and click the dollar sign here to format this as currency. I've even included the monetary totals at the bottom, so that even though they're empty right now, that way when we add them together, they will already be pre-formatted with that. Same thing here. We can highlight all of these. We know we're going to have our totals here, so we go ahead and highlight those three and format them as currency as well. All right, from here, Alt equals does not work as a shortcut on Google Drive like it did on Excel to total them at the bottom. So we're just going to write equals sum. But when I do that, it does assume that I'm wanting to total it. It tries to smartly guess what value you're going to do. So if I just start typing the equals button and then pressing enter, it's going to, you can see equals, it assumes I want to sum those up. And because it's already there, I can hit enter and it's done for me. I don't have to type all of it. Now, if I was typing all of it, I would write equals sum, open parentheses, highlight all of those, close my parentheses, and then hit enter. But with sheets, it's going to try to guess for me. Now, I might be wrong. I might not want to sum those. I might want to, have the product of those. Might want to multiply all those together, right? But Probably not. So when I delete that out, it still assumes I want to sum those values together and then hit enter. And now we've got the sums of all of our monetary tangible assets, short-term and long-term liabilities. And finally, we want to just total our assets. So equals, it's trying to guess again, but in this case, it is wrong. There's two things we're going to total together, which is monetary and tangible. So I could do equals sum, click those two, or I could do equals this plus this. Either way is fine. Liabilities equals this plus this. That'd be good here. And their net worth is the difference. So it's suggesting to autofill, and it's suggesting, I'm not really sure what it's suggesting here. Or formula F8 plus. So it's suggesting same thing again, F8 plus H8. No, we don't want that. So instead, sometimes the suggestions are not correct on these. And their net worth is just the difference. So it's going to be this minus this. And then we've done it. We've made our balance sheet. We've added our first and last name. We've got the assets and liabilities clearly defined in both sections by color. And then if we wanted to maybe put an outside border around this one too, that would be good. Maybe even a line at the bottom of this one would be good, just to show assets and liabilities different. I don't think you need to highlight these colors on this one, but that looks good to me. So from here, we're going to want to share this file. So automatically, when you make a document or a sheet on Google, it's going to be private. It's your own file. I could save this file to my desktop, save it to a folder as an actual file, and take it off of the cloud. But otherwise, it's automatically saving this. If I close this browser, it's going to be there on my Google Drive in my Sheets section, just automatically. It's saving it instantly with every single entry. But to share it, as I said, it's private automatically. So you're going to click this share button, and then instead of being restricted, we want to change it to NSU because I'm logged in with my NSU account. It's going to give me restricted, NSU, or then anyone with the link. We want to set it to NSU so that it stays within the organization, within the class. And make sure it's set to viewer. You don't want me to be able to edit the file or anyone else to be able to edit the file. It's your file. So don't change this to editor. Actually, you might switch this to commenter. That way I can put notes on there for you so that you get some feedback. I'm going to put the feedback on Blackboard, but if you change this to commenter, that would actually be great. And then after that, you're going to have the link right here. If you copy this link, you can then paste it, and you're going to paste this into the text section on Blackboard during Module 3 when you submit your first problem set. So you're going to have a total of 3 parts on one Excel file, and then you're going to have 3 separate links. You're going to have the link to part 2, part 4, and part 6. So every other week is on Google Sheets for the first problem set. So you're going to have 3 links, and then you're going to have 1 Excel file with the other 3 of them on there. So you'll copy that link and you'll submit that. And if you want to copy the link and put it into just a Word document to have temporarily, right? That way you've got it saved. That link's there, and you could label that for yourself and label it for me. Problem set number 1, part 2, right? And then when you submit it, you have problem set 1, part 4, part 6, and have it maybe save that for yourself for future weeks. That way you've already done the legwork and it's ready to go. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you guys in part 3 of problem set 1 on the next video.